Hi everyone, today I will be reviewing a romance book about Dissociative Identity Disorder, aka DID. That's what we will call this disorder in short throughout the review, from an author called Nicky James. Nicky mainly writes romance novels, including contemporary, historical, mild fantasy, and is a very strong advocate for mental health. Now, before I start with the details on this book, some trigger warnings for the listeners. There is a physical and mental abuse storyline in this book, but not at the front, like in your face in detail, but just as a backstory. It is very lightly mentioned about one of the main characters. There is no passage about the details of the said abuse, so don't worry about it. But yes, it exists. And the book's main focal point is the mental health aspect of DID and the romantic storyline between the characters and how to deal with someone and love someone with DID. The storyline begins with Juan Sinclair, who is in his 30s and is stuck in his boring routine and decides to take up evening school to broaden his horizons. Little did he know that the moment he sees Oren Patterson, his brain defies all kinds of logic. Oren is in his late 20s, is extremely shy and an introverted person, and Oren is the one who has DID. He seems very sweet and normal from the outside, but his life is more complex than one can even begin to imagine. Oren shares his life and headspace with five other distinctive different alters, as we call them. So, first is Reed, who is 23 years of age, a straight, protective, muscular guy. Then, second, Cohen, who's 19 years old, who's gay, and who's a people's person through and through. He has a very outgoing and extroverted personality. Then number three is Theo, who's 31 years of age, is an asexual man whose entire purpose is maintaining an order and structure in Oren's life. Then you have number four, Rain, who is a 5-year-old child whose only concern is Batman. And lastly, the complicated Cove, who is self destructive and is haunted by the troubled past of Oren. Now, this book is the first one I have read with such a detailed emphasis and focus on mental health and dissociative disorder. And I would insist the readers to keep an open mind and try and understand the world of Oren, his struggles, and the way he revolves around his illnesses, what are his struggles, and so on. One from the very beginning in the storyline is drawn towards Oren. His shy and quiet demeanor really attracts him. However, the discovery of Oren's illness leaves one's mind in shambles, and the transition from disbelief that this kind of thing really exists in real life, where people have different personalities within themselves, is really hard to accept and believe for one, but his journey from disbelief to acceptance is very well described by the author Nikki. Next, I will try and provide a summary of relationship between one and all the other alters. So first, let's try to summarize individual relationships between one and each one of them, and I will try to keep it spoiler free, of course. So first would be Vaughn and Reed. Now, the presence of Reed is shown every time one is getting intimate with Oren, and Reed is straight, as I mentioned before, and it is really fun to watch how one handles Reed's encounters, and the way Reed reacts to one getting intimate with Oren is really funny and always brought a smile on my face. Second, I would go with one and the 5-year-old Rain, who is a child And Rain is really, like as I said, he's really young, who has no, and then you have Vaughn, who has absolutely no experience with the kids and really tries to step up to the occasion to bond with Rain and his Batman fantasy. Next, we will talk about Vaughn and Theo, who is an asexual 31-year-old. And Theo is more of the level headed one from all the alters of Oren. And Vaughn and Theo have a very cordial relationship throughout. Nothing crazy, nothing uh, under or over, I would say, with respect to their relationship. It's very, really pragmatic way of approaching things from both their ends whenever they share a screen space. Next would be very, very funny, I would say, and sweet, Juan and Cohen, who's also gay like Juan. And he is always so flirtatious and tries to win over Juan every single times they encounter each other, every step of the way. And he's getting in, in all with the 19-year-old flirtatious drama. So one is like, okay, what am I going to do with this 19-year-old something? And I'm very confused. And it's really just sweet from one's point of view, his struggles, because he really likes Oren. And then his feelings towards Cohen, how do he, it's the same person at the end of the day. So how he struggles or manages to manage between his feelings for Oren and his ways with Cohen, and how Cohen is trying to convince Vaughn, and what Oren thinks of Vaughn and Cohen's relationship is really one of the beautiful chapters, I would say. Lastly, Vaughn and Cove. So this is the last altar. Here, I would really commend Vaughn for stepping up and the patience and the understanding that he has shown in presence of Cove to overcome Cove's self-destructive nature is really commendable. Lastly, the main character Oren and Vaughn, I would say, since we are talking about fictional characters, Vaughn is the best book boyfriend. One of them, of course, I would say, that I have found so far. He's very selfless, understanding, patient, and a caring person throughout the book. I mean, Oren is a lucky guy, and of course, all his alters are as well. Oren, on the other hand, is very unsure about a real relationship and how he can cope with his random personality switches and the effect of this DID on his and Juan's relationship. This is a very wonderfully written piece where you could really feel the turmoil and angst between all the characters and their struggle to be together despite the challenges, and how they manage to come up with ways in order to get along with each other and also have a relationship with one. I just, on a personal level, I just cannot imagine how people in real life deal with such a situation where you have a family member or someone that you love or that you are close to with dissociative identity disorder. And how that would be in real life is just really, I mean, it's impressive. I mean, how people go through it completely in their life and still manages to get through it is really commendable, I would say. That's why my heartfelt respect to all those suffering from this illness and the people taking care of these victims. You are the real heroes, I would say. And now I do not have anything particularly negative to say about this book, but I would have loved to have some light on the background of Oren, on the abuse that I mentioned before, and what exactly happened to him. That's something I would have loved to know. I know some readers will say, okay, this was really about just mental health, and it really doesn't matter how Oren became the way or how the disorder was implanted in him or how he became the five people person or six people person that he is. But as me as a reader, I would have loved to know what happened to him and so on. So that's just my, let's say, one of the disappointing points in the book. And one of my favorite scenes or moment from this series where in general, how Oren really, tries to make it work with one despite his struggles. He really struggles. You could really feel his frustration in some of the chapters that he's really trying. And of course, my main takeaway from this book is how understanding, patience, communication, and proper care, professional and both personal, can lead to a healing process of trust and equality despite your mental struggles. So, all of you out there having issues with mental health of any kind, do not hesitate to ask for help. Have trust in your loved ones. Reach out to them. Talk to them, I would say. So, overall, I would rate this book 5 out of 5 because it really is amazing. And this was my first DID related book read. So, I really liked it. And of course, I really love romance. So, this was a cherry on top, I would say. Thanks. That's all for today's review. Please let me know in the comment section your feedback, and if you have any additional information which may help the listeners, please feel free and mention in the comment section. Thank you everyone for listening. Please like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel. Take care. Bye.